Right, welcome to 10 Things We Hate About the Return of the Living Dead. Hopefully by now you'll have watched the 10 Things We Love About the Return of the Living Dead and seen how much of a fanboy, a super fan I am. I think you're a fan of it.
I do really like it, yeah.
But this is one of those where this is my baby. This is my favourite horror movie ever. Without going too deep into it, it terrified me as a child. It pretty much turned me on to horror. You know, I love all the classics and so on, but this movie's got a special place in my heart. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that I don't particularly like, things that I hate, things that I would change, because there are. Don't get me wrong, coming up with 10 of them was actually hard. Yeah. Really, really difficult. After like 1 or 2 or 3 that I was like, yeah, that, I was like, shit.
Yeah, very, very difficult.
So this is going to be nitpicking. As it often is with these hate videos, it's nitpicky. But we both got this one. I know we both got this one, so I'm going to start with it and you can jump in. There's a scene, a pretty famous scene in it, a crypt dance scene by Linnea Quigley's character Trash. Now, she gets naked in this. However, if you don't know this already, she is wearing a flesh-coloured patch to cover her unmentionals at the bottom. Yeah. And I basically don't get it. Why even bother doing a fully nude then? Why not just keep her shorts on? She could be topless. Linnea Quigley has never had a problem with being fully nude. Or getting her tits out, or all of that kind of thing. So why on earth bother with that? Why give her a modesty patch for that? Now, I realise a lot of it might have been because she was going to be basically naked for the majority of the movie. Yeah. But then just keep her short pants on. She wears hot pants. She
wasn't wearing much to begin with. So,
exactly. Yeah. Just do that. Yeah. You agree?
Yeah, definitely. It just seems like unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yes, really.
It's
that is one of mine.
It is silly almost to a point. It's silly, you know? I don't get it. Yeah. I don't get it at all. Like I said, if you wanted her to be fully nude in front of the movie, then have her fully nude. I doubt she'd have had much of a problem with it, considering it's not like after that she's got loads of scenes anyway.
Yeah.
Or just keep her pants on.
Yeah.
Easy as that. Yeah. Right? Silly. Pointless. Okay, your next one then.
My second one, the sequels that it spawned. So I've not seen them. I think you've warned them off them, and I've read bad reviews of them. People just not leaving films alone. And just I'm trying to sort of tack a number 2 or number 3 on.
Okay.
And just trashing like the original one, just leaving it as like just a nugget of like cinema. But again, that doesn't happen in horror. People.
Well, right. So I will jump this one because I do have this one as well, and I've just written the sequels. Now I'm going to break them down a little bit because I've seen them all and they're all reviewed on the site. So Return of the Living Dead 2, Part 2, isn't a bad movie in itself. It has some interesting ideas. It has Tom Matthews and James Cameron reprising not their roles, but playing roles again. And there is a funny scene where they sort of talk about when they're being turning into zombies again. Yeah. Where Tom Matthews says that he's getting deja vu, like they've done this before.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know?
A little nod back.
Yeah, a little nod back, kind of thing. However, the problem with Return of the Living Dead Part 2 is that it went for comedy outright. It's comedic, it's silly, like zombies come out of graves, they put glasses on, one gets its finger stepped on, there's a Michael Jackson dancer zombie at the end.
Oh, no! Oh! What is it? Oh! No! Oh! Oh my God! Oh! 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 You son of a bitch! You bastard!
And a kid's the star.
Yeah.
So that should give you a big clue. And it does have moments. It does have some very dark moments in it, which are real contrast to the whole tone of the movie overall. But this one just does not get the mix right. It's almost a parody of a zombie movie. But its Tarman looks great. It's got some generally horrible scenes. And it's what it does really good, really horrible, that the first didn't do, is when they bite into skulls in this, you hear cracking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now I can imagine that being...
And I always remember thinking, that's pretty horrible. That's pretty horrible. Right. But I'm going to defend Return of the Living Dead 3. Okay. Now, this maybe doesn't get as much love. It's still not a great movie, but it's Brian Usana, who's society director and things like that. Draxon's being used by the military. One of their general's sons, whatever, his girlfriend doesn't approve. She gets killed and he uses it to revive her. But she can't, cope being alive again. And the only thing that makes her feel better, beyond eating brains, is to cause herself self-harm. Yeah. So, that's the kind of story. It's basically a love story, but... like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, but with zombies. Okay. I don't mind Return of the Living Dead 3. I think it had some interesting ideas. It's got some great effects, and it's pretty gory at times. Really gory at times. Then we get the 4 and 5, Rave to the Grave and Necropolis, which were many years after them. Like Return of the 3 was early 90s, and these came out Necropolis was number 4, and Rave to the Grave was number 5, and they came out in like 4 or 5 years ago, and were like straight to TV kind of movies. There was a lot of hope behind them because they were reviving the series, and they're fucking awful. Absolutely like shit all over whatever you thought of the original. Put it this way, Necropolis, I always remember the moment where I went, what the fuck are you doing? The zombies in this one die by shots to the chest. Did they even see the series? Like, do you even know Return of the Living Dead?
Yeah, so it's not. Yeah.
Like, that's just a zombie then. That's not even a zombie. That's a zombie that can die with a shot to the chest is not a zombie. That's just a human being. Yeah. That's a person. And Rave to the Grave is marginally better. I always remember it's marginally better because it has a few more nods back to things. I think even it has Tarman in it
So
and stuff like that.
Keep it linked.
Yeah, but they're terrible movies, and that pretty much ended any hope of any future. Really touching upon it. I don't think anyone would touch it after the failure of those two. So it's not like all the sequels are a mess. I'd say like check out number 2. You might find it funny. I know as a kid I thought it was funny. As an adult I'm like, God damn it, because it's kid comedy.
Yeah.
And number 3 is really dark, really twisted, and it's got some interesting ideas. So definitely check those two out, I'd say.
But yeah, just say that overall, like, I think it seems like a thing in horror particularly, where people just kind of throw money and go, yeah, just stretch out an idea that works for one film, but like, just try and like, stretch it out with any kind of real note where you're going with it, and say certain films are hit and miss, but overall you could have just left it as.
Oh yeah, if none of them existed, would be no worse off.
Yeah, and I feel like that negative point could be a lot of our movie videos we do would be the sequels.
Well, yeah, we did it with
like
The
not
Exorcist
leaving
too.
things alone and you're shouting at the TV going just.
It didn't need to be made. It
needs
didn't
to be
need to be
made
touched
and stuff.
upon.
Yeah.
It's just perfect as it is in a bubble.
Yeah.
Right, then I'm going to do my next one. And this is an obvious one. I'd be surprised if you don't have this one too. Let's be honest, there are a lot of moments in the movie where there's missing makeup. Iffy makeup on background characters. I always remember in early on when the first zombies are coming out of graves, there's one woman in particular who has a really muddy on her hair. But
nothing on her face.
Yeah, she must have accidentally lifted her head up and been like. I suspect she was told not to lift her head.
Yeah.
And then the editing, they just didn't bother changing it. But she kind of lifts her face up, and she's got a pink, rosy face.
Yeah.
Like she looks fine.
Yeah. Even if you were buried last week, that's what they might argue. Oh, well, she was buried last week. You
No.
still wouldn't be pink and rosy.
You've got blood pumping through your face there. Like I suspect she was not supposed, because her head is covered in mud. So I think she was probably supposed to keep her head down. And she didn't. Then there are moments where someone will stretch, a zombie will stretch, and the makeup stops at the wrist. And then there's background ones where the mask or the prosthetics aren't as good. You know, it is nitpicky stuff. It really is, because overall I don't mind it so bad. It is. To
group
me.
Scenes, isn't it? Like in group scenes, they're gonna go, oh well, just.
You only need to go back and look at something like Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. It's one of the most iconic. Whenever you see a group of zombies, well, ignoring the fact that a lot of them look blue, but go back and look at the background zombies. And you'll see some very human-looking people, like that kind of thing, you know? It happens to all, budget is budget, you can only do so much. And ultimately, you know they're not the main focus, because the main focus zombies often do look great, you know? But there you go, it is a problem, So you had that one as well, didn't you?
I had that one as well,
Okay, then you go next then.
So, I wanted, it was the hints to a Nazi character. I looked in the background of it. It seemed like it didn't have time to fully explain it.
Yeah.
So, Ernie... second name was like a German name.
Yep.
I can't remember the top of my head.
Krasenbarger or something like that.
Yeah. That. And like the hint to it, like the music he's got playing at the beginning is like a sort of German sort of anthem or something, and just like hints of why he's got like the gun. He's got
a water PP. That's a James Bond thing. I think it's an English pistol, but he's got a specific make of pistol that is supposed to be a German wartime pistol. Yeah. And he does brandish it.
It seemed like I didn't have time to explain it, so it seemed a bit. Don't know why you'd have to link him to a Nazi side of things, but just if you've not got time to explain something, it seems a bit out of
I agree. I do have this one in a different way, which is simply, I really didn't want this to be the case. It kind of annoys me that this is even potentially a link. Now, thankfully, it's never been confirmed or anything like that, so it kind of just is. But, you know, it's like, Ernie's one of my favourite characters, man. I don't want him to be a Nazi hiding out. Come on, man. Jesus. Yeah, I agree with that one. So yeah, I had it as well. Yeah, that one. Yeah, it just bugs me. It's kind of like, why? Yeah. Why we got this there? What was it for? Were you going to do an extra bit of story? What purpose would it have served? Yeah. It just doesn't make much sense.
Yeah,
you know?
You could, trying to say that you couldn't do a job like that if you were doing a job that's legally signed off by people. How you wouldn't be able to get away with any kind of thing like that? If he
was a Nazi on the run,
It's not like he was under the cover. He was a proper mortuary assistant, embalmer. You don't think people are going to go, oh, okay, let's check out your records, do that job. Yeah. It's just, just unnecessary in a film that's an hour and a half long. It's about zombies. It just didn't seem about. But yeah, again, scrabbling through nitpicking.
Talking about nitpicking, this is a nitpicky one, and it's always bothered me from a kid, and it still kind of bothers me as an adult. Why does trash become a zombie? Why does she become a zombie? Now, the best explanation I can think is that she gets kind of buried under the mud and maybe whatever's in there infects her. But the zombies that surround her, aren't they going to eat her brains? Isn't that what they do? So how does she get buried under a mound of mud and then reanimate with perfect skin, like no bite marks or anything? Like, just what I mean.
It happens, is it? Because no one else comes.
No, because they bite the brains. It's not. There's no reanimation in this. There's no zombie infection. They don't bite you and reinfect you. No. That's not how it works. It's about the gas, and then they eat your brains and you're dead. Yeah. So what? Trash gets surrounded by loads of them.
Yeah, but they all get covered in the rain as well.
So the whole reason why, obviously, she gets turned into a zombie, I get that. She's under the mud. She comes out of the mud, and the mud would have had the gas in it, in fact, from the rain and all that. Yeah. But why wasn't her brains eaten? Now, the best I can think is when they kind of swarmed over her, she got pushed into the mud, like pushed down and maybe drowned.
She just kind of rise up.
Again, like that's what we're saying, maybe drowned, because it was a massive pool of water. Maybe she drowned and they sort of, their bodies all on her, pushed her down into the mud and covered her head and all that. Yeah, that's the best I can come up with. But it is a real, like, that's not even, like, there aren't many rules in Return of the Living Dead, but there was one kind of rule in regards to how reanimation works.
I think they just wanted her to come out of a...
Oh, it was well, of course, exactly. Yeah, but I said nitpicking. I bloody just... Joke is, I nitpicked and then proceeded to give myself a great explanation for it. That answers it. There we go. Now I love it.
10 things I mildly dislike about it.
Yeah.
So my next one, of course, we quite doubled up on quite a lot of them.
Yep.
Their brains apparently were real calf brains.
Yes.
And they got paid more to eat them.
Mm-hmm. Why would you not just use some fucking jelly and shit and, you know, like stuff that isn't going to make people sick?
Yeah, you can like use food colouring or like plenty of other stuff just covered on something to make it look like that. And I'd say a lot of this stuff I found out from trivia, like IMDb trivia, looking into it. So as a film watcher, I'd be like, oh, okay, I know what that is now, but I wouldn't go, oh, that doesn't look like real brains, because you can cook up offal and stuff like that. Yeah. You could, I know brains is offal, but it's just like, no.
It's one of those things that you probably didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, it's just little things. It's like, you can probably get around that, but
yeah.
And paid more as well. So obviously, if you're a hard up actor, you go, actually, I could do a few more dollars. Okay then.
My next one then is kind of tying into the whole makeup thing and certain effects and all that. But if there's ever a moment where people say to me, that was dumb, it's a famous scene in it where a skeleton rises out of the ground. And it's like, do you want a party kicks in and so on. Now, that in itself is like, why is the skeleton reanimating? Why and all that? But that's not the nitpicky thing. It's his perfect eyes. It's the fact that he's a skeleton, completely and utterly a skeleton, a very clean looking skeleton too, with perfect blue eyes. Yeah. And you never see a skeleton again in the entire movie. You never see it.
The half one's got perfect eyes as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's a common issue, even
Yeah.
with teeth. Why does some have perfect teeth? Why has she got a beautiful flowing red hair with the rest of us rotting? Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Don't hair and teeth knock around.
But would they be perfectly white, like tart? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard, right?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I
Like,
know
the
hair
eyes-
knocks
the
around
eyes
for a
would
bit,
go,
but surely with your scalp recede, your hair, you know what I mean? Like
it's always done for effect when it just have the eyes open.
it does. It is, but it's one moment that people often cite me as, well, that's really dumb. Why does a skeleton have perfect eyes? And I'm like,
I just wanted the cue, didn't
Yeah.
they? His eyes open and like.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Naked scene.
Done that one.
Yeah. How long it took to actually make?
Mm.
So we discussed it before, like disputes about ownership of
Yep.
writing scripts and things like that back and forth.
Well, if you don't know, then I'll jump in and quickly tell everyone. If you don't know, the whole reason this film exists is George A. Romero is not solely responsible for Night of the Living Dead. He co-wrote it with a man called John Russo. Russo also wrote the book and stuff like that. Him and George had a dispute over where they wanted to take the film franchise. Russo wanted to go more comedic kind of direction. Romero obviously wanted to do his thing, and they came to an agreement that Russo would basically get the Of the Living Dead moniker, and Romero will be able to go in his own direction, which is why it's Night of the Living Dead, and then Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Land of the Dead. Never the word living. It was only used in the first. It's because Russo got that, Return of the Living Dead. Anyway, I think Russo's original script was pretty dark as well. I think eventually got fucked with a lot, and Dan O'Bannon came in to direct and rewrote, and it ended up being what it is now. And so on. But that's where that story comes from. Yeah.
So so it's like a positive, negative on that one, isn't it? So how long it took because of back and forth between people, you know. The
positive is obviously we got like the movie, and then we got Romero's series. Who knows what would have happened had they been in agreement on something? Who knows what we would have got? My God, the whole zombie genre could be in a very different place as it is now. It could have been completely different, you know. I think that's quite amazing if you really think about it, what it could have been. Make sure if you want as well, go and find John Russo's Return of the Living Dead book. The original book. It's very different to the movie. It's going to really surprise you. We've got it over there. Yeah. Okay, then my next one. Now, again, this is nitpicky, just because it's kind of like, some of the zombies that speak. Man, how would their vocal cords still be active? Like, let's say the half woman.
Yes.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
Brains only.
Yes.
Why?
The pain.
What about the pain?
The pain of being dead.
She is pretty much rotted to nothing.
Yeah.
Yet she has a lovely, sweet and sultry voice. The vocal cords would have been long gone and rotting and stuff like that. Some of the more fresher ones maybe I could buy to send more paramedics guy and stuff like that. But yeah, there are moments where like, that's a bit dumb, you know. I don't even mind Freddie, Tom Matthews speak, because he's freshly animated, and it's part of their kind of thing that they retain some
he's quite threatening,
level of brain power. That's obvious from the way they act and so on. You know, they have brain power left in them and so on. But there are moments where like, that's really stupid. It's really stupid. But it is really nitpicking, because even as I'm saying, I'm like, but I love that.
Yeah.
it's just only a thing where it's like, if people would have pointed at me and say, as with this list, well, name me something that you don't love, you hate, and it'll be like this probably. It is this, yeah.
So when I'm watching it again, some parts of the set look a bit tacky. Like, so the cemetery actually does look like it was created for the film. So you could have maybe aged it a bit more. That's why.
Bullshit, I disagree with this one massively. We're going to argue with you, it's your opinion. That's the point. I love sets. I love sets, you know. We live in a world where it's CGI or, you know, actually filmed on location and stuff like that. You know, we don't get enough sets built. I like sets being built. I love that.
I like the idea of it, but I say if they made it look a little bit older, if it's a cemetery, it's been there for years, hundreds of years.
Do you not think it did?
I don't think it did. I think it looked a bit kind of fake stone that they make into things. I can't think of the word for it. It's probably a technical term for the fake stone they use.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it could have been a bit more weathered to look older.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. My next one's a character, and it's Chuck. And basically, Chuck, well, he's the nerdy one, and basically, Chuck is such a nerd.
Yeah.
He's such a nerd. Like there's always one particular scene that always kind of stands out for me, and he kind of tries to come onto Trash and gets told scram wimp by Suicide, Mark Ventura's character, and it cuts to him and he's like picks up the radio and runs off, scampers off like a little told off boy, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know. And the outfit, everyone's got different outfits, and I know it's what defines him, but he's wearing a suit jacket, he's got a tie on.
It's shorter in summer.
Yeah.
There's more links to it being certain, it's when you think, come on, guys.
Yeah, he is.
He is the most annoying out of the gang.
He is the most annoying out of the gang. Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he's the fact as well as character is basically I'm horny.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. I'm horny and I want to, get off with one of someone. One of them.
Group, yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah, Chuck.
Probably getting it on somewhere.
Don't even think it, Chuck. Oh God, was 10 o'clock gonna come?
Hey, if you want to split, we could both go somewhere.
You'd really like to do it with me, wouldn't you?
Hey, I mean, a girl like you and a guy like me.
Go choke a chicken. Oh.
We've always mentioned about the makeup zombies. I said before, a cemetery scene. Some have none at all. So you said that. They're all likeable. Obviously, apart from Chuck, who's a bit of an annoying one.
Yep.
So I kind of hate the horrible ending for them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just kind of get to like them. I'm like, oh, that's a really shit way of going. Like, they're all... Because obviously, a lot of films with young people in it kind of get cast as, oh, they're all just, like, dumb punks. But actually quite nice. They're actually nice to each other and look after each other. And they interact well with the other people. So rather than being, like, older adults, like, come on, man. They kind of work well with them. So as soon as they know something's gone wrong, they're all nailing up balls together.
Yep.
They're going working together to get to the car. So they're all just nice, likeable characters. I'm like, I don't want to barf at the end.
It's true. Normally in a horror movie, in a particular, you'll always have one character in particular who's a bit of a sleazeball, maybe ends up selling people out, does something they're desperate. And look at Night of the Living Dead and...
Do I get ripped apart?
Well, that's Day of the Dead. No, Night of the Living Dead. I can't remember the character's name, but he's the one that he's the father in Night of the Living Dead, and he how he acts and stuff. You always get a character like that. But Night of the Living Dead doesn't have any of them. Yeah, they're all nice, good, mostly good people who are trying to help each other, and at the end trying to survive together. Yeah, even when one of the last scenes is Bert and Spider driving off. Bert makes the decision to drive off, leave Ernie and Tina behind, not because he wants to, but because he knows they're going to get swarmed, and the best thing they can do is get out and get help. But Spider all the way argues non-stop with him about doing it. Yeah. You coward this and so on. Yeah. It's not like he wants to go back and rescue them no matter what. Like that shit, I agree. It's a horrible thing that kind of it's what we kind of said in the love video. It's just like, oh. And it's kind of like, you want a happy ending. So it's not really, it's hard to say you hate this, but like I said, you want a happy ending, so you kind of hate the end result. Yeah. My next one is, I wish the movie had more suicide. I think the character was excellent. He was funny. He was one of the more comic relief side of things, how he did. And I think Mark Venturi did a really good thing. And it also really fucking sucks that he died aged 35 from leukemia. So yeah, he didn't really have a very long life or long career. And I think he really stands head, in this movie. I think he's very memorable. His scene with Trash in the graveyard is one of my favourites, where he basically throws her off.
Like you think, I assume that, she's like naked, she's a punk like him, and it's like, no, not interested.
Nope, he just throws her off and says, have some fucking respect for the dead, which is such a great line.
He's pretty bored of her doing that. And can maybe link of why she kind of tries to over egg what she does, just trying to attract suicide. But yeah, he just doesn't go down the cliche route with all the two punks, like the two punkiest one out of the group. Yeah. Going for each other, he's just like, oh, whatever. Yeah. He's not in a good mood, just go, put your clothes back on, love.
Yeah, he's pissed off with being called spooky.
Yeah.
I got one more. Have you got any more?
Yeah. So the ending repeated some shots from earlier in the film. So rather than new shots, it was like the same zombie coming out again. Yep. Where you could have had some sort of fresh shots of, because obviously it happens all again. They said at the end, don't worry about the fires.
Well, in theory, yeah, it looks like it might be the case. Yeah.
Yeah. So they picked the same shot of the zombie. It's obviously quite a memorable scene with the eyes and the skeleton. Yep. To use that again, you could shot another scene or like another hands or something again somewhere else. I don't know,
Or, because my last one does tie into that, or you don't even do that. The freeze frame is your ending. The freeze frames, and the last one, and you show the explosion and the tiles fly off. Yeah. Time comes up, end credits. Yeah. We don't have to have a hint towards a potential new outbreak or anything. I don't think it doesn't really do any massive harm to me in that sense, but I don't know if we needed it. I feel like, if it had ended with that and the tires flying off and the time sort of showing the length of the outbreak, that would have been good enough. That would have been good enough, you know?
And you can sort of like put it together yourself that how can you contain something where everybody run? Like they can run. It's not like they're just slowly trundling off. You just literally throw a bomb at a big area and hope it's catched it all. So like you can probably think in your own head, okay, well that's not going to be the end of it.
Well, even more than that, if you've been paying attention, you're like, wait, wouldn't that be burning them then? Like, ignore the ones that are obliterated. Perhaps some that are a bit further out. Well, that's the thing. You were talking obliteration here. That's the kind of thing. It's obliteration more than anything else. I think that's what it is. So it's kind of hard. I don't know. I've never been victim to
funny enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, listen. You hear anything?
Any more?
No, because
we've doubled up. We always do, particularly in these.
Actually.
See, those are 10 things we hate about the Return of the Living Dead. You see, proper nitpicky, and a lot of them I'm still on the fence about. I'm already thinking like, but I like Chuck, and and this and stuff like that, because I do. But sometimes it's difficult to come up with things you hate about something you really, really love. But there you go. That's the best we can do. We'll tell you now what the next one's going to be.
Interview with a Vampire.
Indeed.
Very excited.
Well, see, that's the difference. Was Return of the Living Dead is like my favourite film. Interview with Vampire is one of your favourite films. Yeah. So it seemed like a no-brainer. That 10 hate thing for that is no problem for me. Love is going to be difficult. Yeah. So make sure you check that out. Thanks for watching.